Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Scully,
Yes?
marry me.
I love you and I like you.
I love you and I like you.
I love that woman. I love her more than sharks love blood.
I love you.
You don't.
Hello, I'm Tristan Riddell,
And I'm the girl.
and this is Nerd Nuptial episode 122. If this is your first time listening, this is a show about a married couple looking at life through a nerdy lens. How are you doing?
I'm good. We just had Ripley's birthday.
That we did, and what number was that?
It's her second birthday.
Second birthday.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because we've done the show for 122 episodes. This is our 122 episode, and we started the show before she was born.
Yeah, so we've been doing this for a long time.
And listeners had an episode where it was announced that she was born. Actually, announced that we were having a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Announced when she was actually born.
That's right.
And an episode when she turned 1.
Yeah.
And now we have an episode when she turned 2. So again, longtime listeners who have kind of chronicled her life
Yeah.
through our nerdy conversations.
Absolutely. It's kind of crazy how we're at this point, and it feels like, you know, she's kind of a part of our nerd nuptial as well.
Absolutely. I think I had some, like the art of our show is Batman and Princess Leia in bed together.
Mm-hmm.
And we also had some art done where we didn't really release it, but we had some art done where they were getting married by a xenomorph. Like the xenomorph was a reverend. And when it was announced that we were having a baby, I had some more work commissioned where it was Nightmare Batman from Batman v Superman in his desert gear and Princess Leia in her indoor gear.
That's right.
And she was holding a baby, and it was a parody replica of the cover of Saga, the comic book.
That's right.
And so the baby had like little horns on its head and everything like that.
Yeah.
And that was our way of announcing
That's right.
to the internet that we were having a baby. So it's just pretty crazy that she turned 2 over this weekend.
That's right. Yeah.
And you threw a party, and you did 99.9% of the work. I just went and got balloons and lemonade pretty much. And it was a theme party. What theme was that?
Well, her favorite show right now is Sarah and Duck. It's a British BBC like kids show.
Cartoon.
And it's like probably the only one that we really can tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
And we love it too. And it's super creative and super imaginative, and she loves it. They're her friends.
How many episodes was it? Like 100 or 200 or something
yeah,
like that?
something. We have them all.
We have them all on
Yes.
iTunes, and they're 6 or 7 minutes
Yes.
long, and they're amazing. It's
They
about
are.
a little British girl and her duck.
Yeah, so if you have a kid and you're like just so tired of whatever show, like give that one a try, because we love it. We really do. I really do enjoy watching them with her, which is kind of funny, but like there's a lot of creativity involved in like the ideas of the stories. Like there's not a lot of learning involved, but they're definitely teaching them to be creative.
Absolutely, yeah, using their imagination and everything
Exactly.
like that. It's not like, hey, this is the color yellow, this is
Right,
the number 2 or
right.
anything like that.
Yeah, it's more about your imagination.
Now, if you saw the art on this episode, you know what it's about, and it is about Spider-Man
Yeah.
and his mini iterations in cinema. But before we get into that, we are actually recording this on Super Bowl Sunday.
We are.
In America,
Yes.
Super Bowl Sunday is a big deal.
And it is a big deal. It is not a big deal in the Riddell household, though.
No, it is not.
And it hasn't been for a very long time. Actually, forever in our household.
Forever in our household,
Yeah.
yeah. Our personal
Yeah.
household,
Now,
yeah.
your family watched the Super Bowl together, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
My family would actually throw pretty big parties. Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah, they would. My dad used to play football when he was in high school.
My dad did too.
And I come from an area where football is a little bit bigger
Mm-hmm.
than where you come from, I think. And
I don't know. I mean, I maybe like locally
yeah,
versus.
that's what I mean.
Okay.
That's what I mean. Local
Okay,
football
like-
is much bigger.
Okay, yes.
I'm not saying
I
like
would say
oh
yes
people
to that.
enjoy football more. I'm saying local football.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, I mean, when you're in the Chicagoland area, the Bears are very important.
Yeah, that's not what I mean at all. I
okay,
mean that
I
like
understand.
people get super serious about high school football.
Okay, yeah, and whereas like certain areas of the country are a little bit more into that than where I am from.
Right, exactly.
In the burbs.
In the burbs, the North burbs.
Yeah.
And so like football was always a big deal, and so he would get like friends from work, friends from church to come over, and I would just hide in the basement with my best friend, and we'd watch random stuff. So I was never really into it. And you and we went to college together.
Yeah.
And
well, my family also, like, we had fun. Like, we would have Super Bowl at
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'm
I have
sorry.
a family too. Yeah, I do. Just so you know.
No,
Yeah.
I knew you had family.
Yeah.
I
have
read
a
the
family.
papers. Yeah.
Yeah. And my dad was a big football guy too, as well. And like diehard Bears, Cubs fan, whatever, like anything Chicago. But we would have Super Bowl parties. It was mainly though just like family.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think maybe one year we might have had other people over, like from church or something like that. But mainly family, like just an excuse to like get together and eat and watch football. But I remember telling my mom that I was going to find a person. I was going to find a man who did not like football. And boy, did I. Because I would get so tired of watching Sunday afternoon football. That was kind of a thing that we would do as a family. Like, that's what would be on, right? Not necessarily that I would be watching it or even, like, all of my family would be watching it. But it was, like, that was what people were watching, like, after church, right? And I always was just, like, frustrated that that's what we were watching. So I remember saying that, like, I didn't want to find someone who liked football.
That was never one of my requisites.
Oh, okay.
When
Gotcha.
praying to the Almighty for a lady.
Okay, gotcha.
But I'm glad that it happened. Because we actually started a tradition at college. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So there would be Super Bowl parties in college where everyone would like meet in the cafeteria. I don't know.
Take
or
over the whole
take
cafeteria.
over something or like meet in different dorm rooms and like watch the Super Bowl. And we would go, and longtime listeners know we went to a Christian college where you weren't allowed in each other's dorm rooms.
Oh my gosh.
Unless there were certain days and there was
Open
like
dorms.
a chaperone. Yeah. So we would go during the Super Bowl to like the lobby of our respective dorms, and then we would have a laptop and our headphones and we would watch movies.
Forgot about that.
And I remember we watched like Before Sunrise that way, I think during a Super Bowl. And I think we watched Eon Flux that way.
Eon Flux, I remember. I remember
yeah.
watching Eon Flux. I don't remember watching Before Sunrise, but
I do.
Eon Flux, I remember because we watched it multiple years. It was a
Yeah.
joking. It was a joke tradition.
Yeah, that we had to watch that during the Super Bowl.
And
Yeah.
sadly, we're not going to watch that tonight, though.
No, we're not. We're gonna watch something different. But the nice thing was is that everyone was away, so we had like the dorm to ourselves.
The dorm lobby.
The dorm lobby to ourselves. Oh, that's right. Heaven forbid. So now we have our own place.
We
to
have our own
ourselves.
place,
Yeah.
and we're actually checking out, like because we're big nerds and because we're talking about movies and not watching the Super Bowl, and not saying that you can't be a nerd and watch the
Of
Super Bowl.
course you
Obviously,
can.
that's not what I'm saying.
It's just not a part of our nerd nuptial.
Exactly. I went on YouTube real quick and tried to see what trailers were released because we knew we're recording tonight, and so there was only a handful really that was.
By the time we were recording,
There
yeah.
was an Us trailer, the movie, the horror movie by Jordan Peele. There was Alita, Battle Angel, Captain Marvel, and Avengers Endgame.
Yes,
I think the only one that really tripped my trigger was, of course, Endgame.
that's true. Well, that's probably the one that we're most excited about, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that's probably why.
Yeah, like in the trailer, it was Captain America focused,
Yes.
and it was just 30 seconds, just real quick, and it just showed a world, real briefly, that was dealing with half of the population leaving.
Right, which is interesting. So it kind of seems like that's what we're going to be dealing with for some of the movie.
Yeah.
Is what does the world look like now when half is gone?
Right.
How does that change the landscape of everything?
And that's really fascinating to me. And they gave nothing away.
Which is what they should do. They need to keep that up.
So great.
Don't give anything away. If you're listening.
I know, yeah, because
Marvel,
I know Marvel's listening.
Oh, yeah.
I know they're listening.
Yeah.
And I know that they're going to have at least one more big trailer. And so I really hope. They're smart. They're smart people.
Well, they already have our money, right? Like
They very much have our money.
They-
That's how they
we-
got our Captain Marvel money.
That's true. Yeah, I'm kind of frustrated about that.
Because we're going to go see it opening weekend just so that we can enjoy Endgame more. And that's the thing, is they know they have us.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not super excited about Captain Marvel. Like, I'm excited about it being like a female-driven movie.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. But like what I've seen so far of Captain Marvel, I'm not too super excited about.
Right.
So, and maybe that's just because I don't know very much about Captain Marvel, so maybe that's my failing. But at the same time, I feel like it could be a very subpar movie, and we're still gonna go see it because it ties in with Endgame.
I know.
So, like, I don't think they have to make it fantastic because we're gonna go.
Exactly. And that's all that they care about. That's all they care about. And it's like with Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Did we need a Doctor Strange movie with the introduction that we got in Thor Ragnarok?
Probably not.
Right?
I don't think so. It was kind of like a filler, right?
It very much
I
was.
don't know. I mean,
I think this will be better than Doctor Strange.
I hope so.
I hope so. Yeah, I
Because
hope
we were
so.
not huge fans
No.
of Doctor Strange. Yeah, but I loved the Endgame trailer too because it didn't give a lot away. Captain Marvel, I still feel the exact same from
Right.
all the trailers.
Same.
They also showed like a brief scene, but there
On the
wasn't
train.
on a train, but there wasn't much to say about it. Really?
No.
Do you have any? I mean,
No, I really,
yeah.
I don't have too much. I really don't. I mean, it's not like I think it looks bad. It's not that I think like, oh, groan. Because like with Suicide Squad, the trailers came out, you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so jazzed. And they kept coming out with trailers. And then by the third or fourth trailer, you're just like, oh, wait, no, this isn't going to be good.
Right. Then my expectations like went really low.
And that's not happening here.
No, it's the same.
It's the same level of medium to low interest.
I think maybe part of the problem is that we know it's just there between now and Endgame, like that we have to get through this movie to get to Endgame.
Yeah.
So it's like this psychological thing where I'm like, okay, let's go see it so I can go see Endgame. Like, I don't know.
No, I think that's pretty astute.
Well, and also like, I mean, it is taking place before
In the 90s.
right? So it, there's that piece to it as well. So I think that, there could be some callbacks, and we already know that there are, like Samuel L. Jackson's character is going to be
Agent
in there.
Coulson's in
and
it,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
De-aged.
So, right. So we know that there's some opportunities for that kind of thing, but I wish I was more excited about it.
Me too.
I hope it like blows me away.
I am 100% with you. I think, yeah. So one thing that did, I don't want to say blow us away, but one movie that we are excited about within the Marvel franchise that is coming out is Far From Home.
Yeah,
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
Far From Home.
Right.
And
We were huge fans of Homecoming.
huge fans.
Yeah, I mean, like, not Into the Spider-Verse huge for me, but that's kind of what sparked our conversation for today, was just because we saw that the Far From Home trailer came out, and we were talking about it, and we were like, well, let's go back and watch some more Spider-Man that we've already seen before, because we, like the Tobey Maguire days, we were younger, so kind of to recall and remember what those actually were. Like, I had an impression in my head of what they were when I had seen them
Right.
a long time ago, but like we decided to revisit those and kind of like talk about the Amazing Spider-Man and kind of like Spider-Man through cinema.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of spurred from that, where it was seeing the Far From Home trailer kind of sparked conversation within the nerd party.
Yeah.
Where I was talking with everyone and we started sharing our lists. We started sharing our Spider-Man lists
Yeah.
of how we rank them. And I started thinking, I was just like, man, Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, directed by Sam Raimi, is on the top of so many people's lists. And the other Spider-Man, like in the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, is pretty high on people's list too. And I was just like, man, it's nowhere near at the top of my list. I haven't seen these for like 15 years.
We better go back and see,
We better go back and see.
like, just to refresh our brains and be like, hey, where do they rank?
And that's what we did.
Yeah.
We watched the 3 Tobey Maguire films. We recently watched the Amazing Spider-Man films not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I could totally do a Homecoming rewatch.
Yeah.
And now here's the thing is that I know. Before some people are just like, well, excuse me, Tristan and the girl. Yes, there was some TV movies of Spider-Man released in the 70s and 80s. It was mainly a TV show, and I know that outside the U.S. they were released theatrically. I'm not counting those. We're not counting those.
Right. It's more like in our generation, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's kind of what we're talking about, is like the more recent,
Yes.
the past. I mean, when did the Spider-Man came out? Like,
was it 2002? I think it was.
Anyways, in our lifetime.
In our lifetime. I think it was 2002 when
Yeah.
the first Tobey Maguire one. So yes, I recognize that those exist. I don't really count those.
We're not talking about them.
I don't really count them, and I'm sure that you can make an argument for them, but we are not making that argument today.
That's right.
So first one, Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Willem Dafoe, 2002. This was after X-Men came out, where like X-Men is kind of credited with the superhero boom.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I remember really liking Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. I remember really liking it. I'm pretty sure I had it on DVD in my collection. I didn't have a lot of DVDs. I had very select ones. So,
But you had a good DVD collection.
I did. And this one made it at that time. Because I think that for me, I think that when I think about like first getting into like superheroes, I think of Spider-Man. I think about like the origin story, right? Like you have to have that, like, how did he become Spider-Man? And I think that was the interesting part of it. I mean, I know that X-Men had that, and that was around the same time frame, right?
2 years.
Yeah, like, so I think it definitely piggybacked off of that, where it was like, okay, let's show Spider-Man's origin. So I was really into it. I really liked it a lot. So how did you feel about it when it first came out?
Oh, when it first came out, it was so long ago. I remember being more excited for X-Men.
Okay.
Even though, because here's the thing, is that like I was never really into, like, I was into X-Men comics. I was into the X-Men cartoon. I wasn't really into Spider-Man comics.
Oh, okay.
But I was very much into the Spider-Man cartoon.
Interesting. Okay.
So I know way more about the Spider-Man cartoon than I do the comics.
Interesting.
And so I'm very much not an authority on that.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember when X-Men came out with Hugh Jackman, Anna Paquin, Patrick Stewart, and everything like that. I was super stoked about that. Got the VHS, then saw it in theaters, got the VHS, got the DVD, was super excited. And I don't know if I saw Spider-Man in the theater.
Oh, really?
But my dad bought the DVD because he was all about it. He loves that stuff. Like, he loves colors, big explosions, and everything like that when it comes to superheroes. It's like, I think he likes Spider-Man more than X-Men because of that reason.
Okay.
Like, I wasn't talking down about him. I'm saying he's like, he likes the colorful, bright.
Whereas especially the first X-Men was much more, like, it was grittier.
Yeah, and very muted.
Yes, it was.
And
I think I liked Spider-Man more than X-Men at that time.
I was the opposite, but I had a lot of fond memories watching the first one with my dad. And so I always kind of equate those movies with him. And when I saw the movie, I was just kind of like, Tobey Maguire? The Pleasantville guy? Really? Spider House rules. Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
I kind of want to make
that's a different, I was going to say.
I kind of want to make
that
the title
movie.
of the show. Spider House rules guy.
Yeah,
That might have been after. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, whenever I watched it, I was just kind of like, okay, that's okay.
All right.
That's about it.
No, I really liked it. But I mean, it wasn't like the best thing in the world. Like, I wouldn't say it was like my favorite movie. I think that it kind of opened my mind to like more superhero films. I think at the time.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then we started getting more.
We started getting a lot more.
Right.
And hence the boom, that started in 2000.
Yeah. So watching it again.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Because we did a rewatch.
What did you think of Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man?
I probably enjoyed it even less than my memory.
Okay.
I thought some of the action sequences were really cool. I thought Willem Dafoe was chewing the scenery. I think that was the thing that really kicked me in the teeth the hardest. I was just like, this is a great concept, but the acting is so atrocious.
It's very over the top.
Oh,
It's very over the top. Yeah.
Tobey Maguire is okay.
He's tolerable in the first one.
In the first one, but
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, all the supporting actors.
They're kind of phoning it in.
Oh.
Like, kind of sleepy.
Do you think they were just like, this is just a superhero film and that isn't really a thing yet? Like,
I have no idea what was going on with them, but I feel like it was very much so like, why aren't they trying?
Right?
And then there was like Willem Dafoe's character was like, you're trying too hard
Yeah.
to be the bad guy.
Like, Willem Dafoe's the only one who
Yeah.
got the memo.
Right. And so
then he's just like, well, I'm going to do it even harder.
yeah, exactly. Like making up for everyone else. I don't know. I think there was like super like over the top kind of cheesy like moments and then there's like it almost sometimes doesn't know what it wants to be, whether it wants to be serious or kind of cheesy. So
comic booky.
Yeah. Now I have to say, I would still, for me, like going back, I still say that I would probably like this one more than the other two that are Tobey Maguire.
Yes, very much so.
It's the most tolerable in my opinion. Is that an okay segue into the second one?
I think so. It's a foreboding segue.
It is.
Because we both just went, yeah, it's the most tolerable. Let's talk about the next two. Because, yeah, with Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 2 is the entire reason why we're talking about Spider-Man in this podcast, because that was the onus of why I wanted us to go back and watch it, because on the top of so many people's lists of the best Spider-Man movies ever made, because we have like 8, I think, or something like that. This is at the top. Hardcore. I remember, talking with someone years ago, and just how it came up in conversation. I said, I don't really like that one. They're like, what are you talking about? Spider-Man 2 is the gold standard of superhero films. And
that is sad if that's true.
And just so many people feel that way, though.
That's kind of crazy.
So many people feel that way, and I had no idea why. I was like, maybe I missed something. Maybe I was too young.
Now, I will say that it's memorable.
Yes.
Like, because I remember when we brought up, like, let's, watch Spider-Man 2. I was like, okay, is that the one with Doc Ock, And I was surprised that I remembered that because it was that long ago. But, yeah, this one does not hold up in my mind. And I don't think, obviously, based on what you just said, yours either. It's just, again, it feels like so much of the acting is either phoned in or, like, trying too hard.
And even Tobey Maguire this time phoned it in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, this one, it's like everyone was just kind of going through the motions.
And I was just, the CGI did not hold up.
No,
the special effects did not hold up.
And I mean, some of that, it's for the time of the day, right? I mean, like at that time, I'm sure I was like, whoa, that's amazing. But
I can
now,
be forgiving.
Not so much.
Yeah, I can totally be forgiving sometimes. Like, it was kind of interesting because like when we were watching the second one, I was like, "Oh, this people CGI looks a lot like the Matrix Reloaded people CGI." And then when we got to the third one, I was like, "Oh, this CGI looks a lot like Prisoner of Azkaban CGI," and or something like that, or like Harry Potter CGI. I'm not quite sure what time frame it was, but it's when you have a great story, sometimes you can be forgiving, where you're just like, okay, it's of the time, whatever,
true.
it's fine. But with this one, because the pacing was horrible, and all the stuff that didn't work in the first one was amplified to the max in the second one, where it didn't know what it wanted to be.
Right.
It had no idea if it wanted to be a romantic film or romantic comedy. It had no idea if it wanted to be a comedy or an action film or a superhero film or a drama.
No.
And it just... There were things that were so ridiculous and over the top, and at the same time tried to be rooted in reality.
Right, and there was other things you're like, wait, for plot, there was like a plot holes. You're like, wait, how does that work? Like, I feel like some of it was just, it was relying so heavily maybe on the success of the first one. But it's just interesting to me that people say that they love it so much.
Even today.
Yeah.
Even today.
Because, I mean, we started making fun of it while
we
were
started our own
watching.
riff tracks as we were going on.
It got to the point where it's like you roll your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the hard part, was just you're like, oh my gosh, like, all right, get to the end.
A lot of eye rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of eye rolling,
Oh no,
the
it was so painful.
the third one.
The third one is the worst.
I think the third one, like, well, there may be disagreements on the first and second one on how great they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, but almost everyone is in agreement
I
that
would
the third
hope.
one, that the third one is just god awful.
Oh no, it's so bad. I mean,
It's laughably bad.
it is laughable. I mean, Into the Spider-Verse made fun of it, where like when Tobey Maguire comes out and dances, and he's got like his emo haircut and everything like that. It's painful. I mean, he starts
painful.
dancing, and it's just like, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's to the point where you're like, how are these actors okay with doing this?
They must have had a lot of trust in Sam Raimi, and
It
I
was
have no idea
bad.
why, because
Just bad.
we have mocked this in our pop culture and nerd culture for years.
It's so bad.
It's so utterly horrible. Again, like the same problems. Every new movie amplifies the problems of the one before it.
Right.
And this one was the most schizophrenic. It was the most
Mm-hmm.
unevenly paced, and the CGI was just. I'm sure at the time it was great, but it felt horrible in a different way.
And I was laughing because I was like, okay, in this time and day when we were watching this, we were okay with Tobey Maguire fighting Topher Grace on a skyscraper.
These are our two leading men.
These are our two leading men. Like, Topher Grace as your, like, bad guy?
and the guy from Wings.
Yeah, right? I'm like, what?
What is going on?
I mean, okay, like, I think there is some criticism of, like, we don't have to have every bad guy, like, be this huge muscle guy. Okay,
Not everybody has to be Chris Hemsworth
they
or Chris
don't,
Evans.
okay, and I am totally down for that, but I'm just like, what? Like,
happened, yeah.
Topher Grace and Tobey Maguire? Like, who thought that was a good idea? Like, no.
I know. They totally wasted Venom.
Yeah.
Wasted
Oh my gosh,
Venom.
it wasn't even in it that much.
No.
Right?
No, and it's just, and then we had to deal with Harry's Hobgoblin.
Mm-hmm.
We had to deal with the Sandman. We had to deal with
Oh,
Venom.
that one was the most, like, it was just like trying to keep track of all the storylines was a job.
There was, and I think that, yeah, that's the thing. It was like, it was 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it was filled to the brim with story, but no real plot.
Exactly. It was like, okay, we're going to throw all these bad guys in here, but you're not going to really know what their motivation is or why
And
they're
like one
trying to-
major story plot was Aunt May had to move.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Exactly. It was like, okay, like, cool. Like, she has to move.
She has to move. I'm sorry. She has to move to an apartment. Great. I'm so happy this took up 10 minutes of the film. It's just
unnecessary
filled with stuff like
yeah,
that.
unnecessary things like that.
And just,
for sure.
yeah, the pacing was atrocious. It's just, yeah, it's god awful.
For sure, like, if you're going based on the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, I think for me it goes 1, 2, 3.
Very much.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah. But they do definitely rank low an overall Spider-Man, I think, for both of us.
Now, Sam Raimi wanted to do 6.
And they said no.
No, what happened was they greenlit a
They
fourth
did?
one. They did. They
Oh,
greenlit
no.
a fourth one, and he's like, okay, well, I want to do a fourth and fifth one then. I want to shoot them back to back. I want to shoot a fourth and fifth one back to back, and they're going to be a continuation of one story.
Oh my gosh.
And then that's when they said, no, and you're going to do it for less money, and you're just going to shoot the fourth one. And the studio and Sam Raimi kept going back and forth, and Raimi's just like, I want more money because I wasn't happy with how the third one happened. And the studio's like, neither are we.
Yeah.
But we can't give you any more money. And he's like, and you have to do it in way less time. And he's like, I can't do it in that amount of time with that amount of money. And so he left. And then once Sam Raimi left, they're just like, okay, fine, screw it, scrap the project.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, because it was like, yeah, he was going to do 4 and 5, and then they're like, okay, well, I'll do the fourth one, but then 5 and 6 are going to be shot back to back, and it just
Interesting.
completely unraveled. And I can't even imagine
Well,
a
I'm
world where
glad.
we had 6 of these films.
No, I can't imagine. Like, ugh, that would be just a bad world. Good. I'm so glad it didn't work out. Yeah. So then we had the Amazing Spider-Man.
The Amazing Spider-Man,
Right.
with what's his name,
Which
Andrew
I
Garfield.
remember when that came out, feeling like, I think after the third one being like, ugh, another Spider-Man movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it basically turned me off to the character, to be honest.
And it happened so quickly.
It did.
We weren't used to that kind of turnover.
No, we were like, wait, we just had Spider-Man.
This kind of became the gold standard of too soon of a reboot.
Yes.
But then, I mean, not to jump too far ahead, but then we get Tom Holland's, Spider-Man even sooner afterwards.
I know. But we weren't as upset about that.
We weren't.
At least Nerd Nuptial wasn't.
But yeah, Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew
so
Garfield.
Andrew Garfield. I remember thinking he was cute. And it was one of the first times I actually saw him act.
Oh, you saw Social Network first.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's totally right. I was like, that's right. He was way better in Social Network.
Yeah, he was great in Social Network. He was fantastic
I mean,
in
we've
Social
seen him in a
Network.
lot of other things after that, but and Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, but Gwen Stacy was much more of a like Mary Jane character, wouldn't you say?
I don't know. I mean, I can't really comment on it because I don't know terribly
comics
much.
too much?
I really
Okay.
don't. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm an
Okay.
authority on it, but that's the feeling that I kind of got, was that it was a Mary Jane replacement.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they focused on Gwen Stacy to differentiate themselves a little bit more from
Okay.
the Tobey Maguire movies.
Okay. Well, I understand, like,
I get that.
especially if it's that soon after we just had Spider-Man, trying to make yourself a little bit different. I
Yeah.
get that.
And they didn't use the line "with great power comes great responsibility." I can't remember exactly what
It was-
he said, but it was something very similar.
It was like if you had taken Spark Notes.
True.
And like, okay, let's make this different. That's the same character.
It's a Spark Notes version. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I remember him sciencing.
Yes, I think they definitely
Yeah.
they definitely shifted where, like, with Tobey Maguire, he was just at a
Yes.
normal high school, and with Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, he was at Midland Science High School or something like that. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
but
Again, not anywhere close to the right age of a high school student, but
right.
whereas like it was really just all the power in Tobey Maguire came from the spider. Like there was nothing from him. It was just, I mean, he was smart.
He was still smart.
Don't get me
He
wrong.
was still a scientist.
But it was like that. There was a lot of power that came from the spider bite. Like the
Yes.
webs came from his actual body.
which never set well with me.
Mm-hmm.
I was really happy when they returned back to the to Peter Parker making his own web slingers
Right.
and his own web solution and everything like that. I really liked that. And so they did that. And they also tried to add more intrigue, which I thought was an interesting take.
Yeah.
They tried to add like some more mystery surrounding his parents' death.
Right. But here's the thing. It feels very like Bruce Wayne, like we have to go all the way back. Like I was okay with us just dealing with like he has his aunt and uncle, and then we pick up the story from there. Whereas I feel like trying to explain how he was more special because of his parents, I didn't need that in this.
Okay.
I felt like it was trying to like tack on something. Maybe I'm totally wrong from the comics, and like maybe there's more to it than that, but like it just felt they were trying to make themselves even more different by adding more backstory. And this definitely felt that way.
Yes, and I did like that they dealt with the Dr. Connor storyline. That was always with the Lizard Man and everything like that.
Was that the second one?
No, that was in the first
That
one.
was the first
That
one?
was
Okay.
Amazing Spider-Man. I always really liked that storyline where he's an amputee and he's trying to get his arm back, and so he injects himself with lizard DNA, and then he becomes a lizard man. I love stuff like that.
I just don't know if it makes a great, like, it's just the CGI, like, trying to make that, like, that's why Killer Croc doesn't really work for me as, like, a villain. You know, like, I know this is a different franchise.
wasn't even CGI.
Well, okay, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, that doesn't necessarily work for me, whereas I feel like I don't know, like the Goblin, like the Green Goblin worked more and as a villain for me.
I don't agree with that at all.
No?
Because when I
Okay.
saw when Amazing Spider-Man came out and Andrew Garfield was announced to be Spider-Man, I was like, I can see that. I can see Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. And I feel like a lot of people thought he made a great Spider-Man, but not that great of a Peter Parker. And I can see that. I can understand that a little bit. But I did enjoy him as Spider-Man because I always felt like Tobey Maguire just didn't get the essence of Spider-Man with the quick whips. The witticisms and always making jokes.
Right.
And he's constantly talking. And Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man did that. Like he was.
That is true. I did like him more.
Yeah, he cracked
with
the
that.
jokes. He was a wisecracker and everything like that. I really liked that.
But you also have to have Peter Parker, like the nerd, right?
Yeah.
As and I don't think that he maybe sold that part as well.
No, not really. He's tall and lanky and handsome.
Right.
But like when I saw Amazing Spider-Man, I liked it better than any of the Tobey Maguire films.
Yeah, I think I did too. I mean,
they're not rated anywhere near as high.
they're
at least
not.
the first two.
Well, right. Yeah. I don't know. For me, it's kind of equal to the first one of the Tobey Maguire. Maybe it's the nostalgia too. That
could be. Yeah.
But I do think that I did like him and Garfield as Spider-Man, like you were saying, more than Tobey Maguire.
And you can't get better than Emma Stone. I
No.
mean, she like her as Gwen Stacy,
Right.
just being in the movie, I think
Right.
elevated it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and she was funny and cute. Yeah.
I remember, like, okay, if you haven't seen Amazing Spider-Man 2, we're going to spoil something for you real quick. So when Gwen Stacy's character dies horribly at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, I remember I remember one person tweeted after that where it said, like, listen, just dye Emma Stone's hair back to red, bring her back as Mary Jane, no one will care.
You know, I totally agree with you.
If they made a third one, I would have loved to have seen
That
that
would've
happen,
been
and no one
hilarious.
talks about it. It's
Yeah.
just like, who's that? Oh, that's Mary Jane.
Yeah, they just move on. Just move on. Like, no, she's here to stay as Mary Jane. So that's okay.
Would've been amazing.
That would have been amazing. Yeah.
But yes, when I saw the first one, I was just like, these are better than all three Sam Raimi films. But I totally get what you're saying about the nostalgia because it came out when we were kids.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
but to me, I was just so happy to see something different.
Now,
from
the
that.
second one
The second one
was rough.
super forgettable.
It was super forgettable. There was a lot going on.
So much going on. We had the Green Goblin, we had Electro, and we had little bits of Rhino.
Yeah, it was just too much.
Too much.
It was way too much. It was like, just pick a storyline. It felt like the third of the Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, where
Yeah.
it was just like pick one and then go with it. Whereas it was all over the place, in my opinion.
They were trying to up the ante. They were trying to be bigger and better than the first one,
Right.
and it
didn't work.
they missed the mark. And
Yeah.
even I can agree with that because I feel like I need to watch that one again. I need to watch Amazing Spider-Man 2 again to really stack it up against the first Spider-Man. Because
okay.
even though I liked Amazing Spider-Man more than Spider-Man, I might not have liked Amazing
But I
Spider-Man 2
really do
more.
feel like it was more forgettable than.
It's true. You're
So
right.
that's how I can justify it, is like it's so forgettable
You're
to
probably
me.
right.
Yeah, even with like me liking Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, it was just there was too much to get in the way.
Sally Field, who played Aunt May,
Yeah.
an even younger version of Aunt May than Tobey Maguire,
Yeah.
she did not like the movies. She did not, and she was super vocal about not liking the movies, which I think is hilarious. And I'm gonna censor myself a little bit because she swore, but she said, "Listen, when someone asks her about the movie, you can't put 6 pounds of crap in a 6 pound. I'm sorry, you can't put 6 pounds of crap in a 3 pound sack."
She really didn't like them.
That's how she described the movie she was
Why
in.
did you just not do it then?
It's amazing.
Oh man.
She's
Yeah.
she probably signed on for a trilogy deal.
Probably.
That's
Yeah.
standard procedure now.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so she had to be in the second one. She was probably, oh, thank God we're not doing a third one.
It's so funny. So how long after Amazing Spider-Man 2 did Homecoming come out?
I know you're
Because I feel like it was pretty soon after that. And I mean, I really like. Okay, but we also did we see him in Civil War, Tom Holland in Civil War before we saw him in Homecoming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Homecoming came after Civil War, and so
he was my favorite part. Like one of my favorite parts about Civil War was the fun stuff with Spider-Man, like, and such a young Spider-Man. I think that was the refreshing thing.
It was
that he is so cute and like age appropriate.
we got Civil War in 2016.
Okay.
That was the first appearance of Tom Holland Spider-Man. And the Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out in 2014.
Oh, okay.
And so Amazing Spider-Man came out in 2012. So in 2012, so every 2 years
I have a new Spider-Man.
we had a new Spider-Man film.
Okay.
But we had a different Spider-Man after 2 years, and I think Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire was in 2007.
Okay.
So it was 5 years. So 5, 2, and then another 2.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so with Civil War, I really liked him. I thought he was, like, they used him so appropriately and so well. Right. And just the idea of him, like, getting his footing, basically, with the Avengers and, like, not really being an Avenger, but, like, helping out was just, I think, was so great as Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was like a footballer on loan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember when Homecoming came out, though, we were not excited.
Nope. I
think I was Spider-Man'd out.
I was burned out too. You and I were both burned out because we're just like, okay, enough iterations of Spider-Man. Congratulations that he's coming to the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that was a big deal.
Yeah.
That was a big deal because like Sam Raimi and Mark Webb's Spider-Man's were not a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because Spider-Man is owned by Sony, as so many people listening to this know.
Right.
He's owned by Sony, and so Sony loaned him to Marvel because they're just like, listen, we can't get this right.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are clearly doing something correct, you know. And so Sony's just like, we will allow him to be in the MCU. You will market. I mean, like Sony said, you can create the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can use the character, create the movie, all the creative stuff. We will market it and distribute it.
Right.
And so that they can get a share of the cash. And it worked out for everybody.
Yeah, seriously. For real. So we actually didn't watch Homecoming until it came out.
Much later.
And we hadn't heard we heard mixed things.
Like a lot of people, a lot of friends of ours said, it's not worth it. Don't waste your time. They actively told us not to watch it. Right.
And I was like, I wasn't excited because I was like, ugh, I'm just tired of Spider-Man. Honestly, I was just like, tired of the character.
And the trailers were uninspiring.
Right. And I was like, I did like him in Civil War, so let's give it a shot. Let's see what this is all about.
It was you who said, let's do this.
Right. And we loved Homecoming. We were like, why do we wait so long to watch this? This is adorable. I think is what the word that comes to my mind is like just how fun, and it was lighthearted. And we were like, oh, this is like what they all should have been.
when the credits rolled, I was like, holy crap, that is easily the best Spider-Man film.
Yeah. And there are flaws in it.
Yes.
And I can think of them immediately right now. But when you think back to all the other ones we've watched.
The 5 previous ones.
Exactly. It is by far, when you think about them, our favorite iteration of Spider-Man. I love that he was, going to this magnet school, and he is super smart, and that's why he can create, it gave him more backstory, but in an appropriate way, not having to go back in time. I like the fact that he has the relationship with Tony Stark. I thought it was interesting. It wasn't fantastic for me. I didn't need that, but it definitely helps it get back into the MCU.
Right.
And
it was another
tie-in, right? Yeah, there was just a lot of fun things. I think a lot of the supporting cast were really fun too. I mean, you've got his best friend. I can't remember his name. I know he's so fun.
Michael Keaton did a great performance.
Yeah. I mean, it's Michael Keaton.
It's Michael Keaton. But I was, the the character that he portrayed, like that villain, you're just kind of like, how is he going to make him scary
Right.
in a movie? Like on the comic book page, he can be intimidating, but it might just come off as silly in a movie, but it was not.
No, it was great.
Yeah. He was intimidating.
And it was also something different. Like, it wasn't trying to redo what has already been done in the, over on the other
skipped
side.
Uncle Ben.
It did skip Uncle Ben.
Which a lot of people did not like.
I was totally fine with it.
100% okay with it. I just saw it twice.
Right.
With Sam Raimi and Mark Webb.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
fine
like,
with not seeing it
we
again.
can move on. We
Yeah.
can totally move on. Yeah, but I loved the sense of humor. I think was my favorite part of it.
He actually looked young.
He looked young. He embodies like what you think of as Spider-Man. Like, he looks like a gymnast. I think he even can like do his own stunts.
And they really sold that because you saw the actor do these stunts, and it actually looked like him doing it. Obviously, there was a lot of CGI.
Right.
But it was actually during his audition, like he was for Civil War, when he was auditioning for Spider-Man, he was reading a scene with Chris Evans, Captain America. And so you actually see this tape, and Tom Holland goes up to Chris Evans and says, like, so I just flip in, right? Like, I flip in and we start the scene. And Evans is just like, yeah, kid, just flip in. And he does it.
It's amazing.
Flips into the scene.
So amazing.
And Evans is just like, you can see his face. He's just kind of like, oh.
You weren't kidding.
You weren't kidding.
He's tenacious, and I think like he shows that in his character too. And I love it. Yeah, I love him as Spider-Man.
I want to watch it right now.
Yeah, me too. Seriously, yeah. So we're super excited about
Far
From
Home.
Home.
Very much so.
And it takes place like they're on like a trip overseas. It looks like a study abroad type of situation.
A lot of new suits.
Yeah.
That was one thing. Okay. So here's the thing. I want to mention one thing. Like this with the suits and everything like that. This kind of ties back to Tony Stark. In Civil War, Tony Stark made him his suit, and you see him use that suit in Homecoming, and you see that he had his homemade suit beforehand. Now you saw how crappy and weird and awkward his homemade suit was, because when you
it was like a hoodie,
it was like a hoodie with some goggles,
right,
and a sweatshirt. When you look at Sam Raimi's and Mark Webb's Spider-Man, they all made their own suits, and it looks like a team of 50 professionals made it.
Oh my gosh, it was like, are they all like tailors and seamstress? They are all tailors, like they are like
professional
these
costume designers.
Costume designer, like they can, sew latex. I don't know. Like,
it's so weird, right? And like, I understand it's a movie.
I totally get it.
It's a movie,
yeah.
but I like that they showed that. But a friend of mine, Craig Sorrell, who hosts a show called Words with Nerds, he was talking about how he didn't really like the relationship that Spidey had with Tony Stark, because it felt like it made Peter Parker lose some agency over his own superhero, where like he couldn't be Spider-Man without Tony Stark, without the Avengers and everything like that. And I talked to him and I said, I was like, you know what? I get that. I get, like, if you're a longtime Peter Parker fan, you're a longtime Spider-Man fan from the comics and everything like that, and then all of a sudden they throw in this movie where he relies heavily
on his suit.
I think that was one criticism I had of Homecoming. He relied way too much. It was an iron suit. It was an Iron Man suit, basically. And he relied way too heavily on technology when Spider-Man just relies on his powers.
Right.
But at the end of Homecoming, he makes that decision. I'm not going to be an Avenger. I'm going to be my own man. I need to figure out what kind of superhero I'm going to be.
Right.
And then they erased that in Infinity War.
Completely. Yeah, I mean, but I liked that ending.
I do too.
Because it was very like, no, I'm not ready. And it's okay not to be ready. Like, it's okay that at the end of the movie, you don't have to have it all together. So I liked that ending. So like, and in Avengers, I mean, I totally understand why they did it. And it was kind of like, okay, out of necessity, you're now a part of the Avengers. But it did feel a little cheap.
It did.
Yeah. And I think maybe part of that was because we didn't see as much backstory. We didn't see like how he got his powers.
It's true.
So
or how Uncle Ben got shot in the street.
Exactly. So it was one of those things that we like didn't see that part. And so that was hard for us to like wrap our head around. But like I said before, I was so tired of that version of Spider-Man that I was totally okay with it.
So many of us were so tired of origin
Mm-hmm.
stories, and we got 2 of Spider-Man before. It was just like, please, please,
Right.
please, please, please don't do this again.
With Far From Home, I'm just excited to see more Tom Holland and the gang, like
Zendaya
all
and-
his all his friends, and I think I'm okay with it being like the same.
I am like
Like it doesn't need to be anything crazy.
I mean, I'm a sucker for superhero suits. I love a good superhero suit.
Okay.
And
Yeah, you do.
When I really do, and when like to get it look from the trailer for Far From Home, it looks like we're getting multiple suits, and I'm just like, bring it on, just show me the multiple suits, because like one of my favorite superhero tropes is when we go into a hideout. Mm-hmm. And like
See all the suits.
and see all the suits are like lined up in glass cases, like in the Bat Cave and
Yeah.
everything like that, or like Into the Spider-Verse when we had all those different ones
Yeah.
and everything like that. Yeah.
Can we
Like,
talk about Into the Spider-Verse?
yes, we can talk about Into the Spider-Verse because we're talking about Spider-Man films.
Okay, so listeners who know my top 2018 movies will know that Into the Spider-Verse was my favorite movie of 2018.
Not just favorite Spider-Man.
No, of 2018, that was my favorite movie.
Favorite movie.
I know.
And you didn't want to go see it.
I did not.
I had to convince you to go see it.
Yes.
I bought
We-
the tickets without your permission.
That's right. And I was like, fine, I'm going to go see this movie. Ugh. Because I think I was just like, ugh, what? An animated Spider-Man? Spider-Man is not my favorite. But this movie was fantastic, and I loved it.
Why did you like it more than Homecoming? Because you just gushed about Homecoming.
I did.
But you liked it
I
more than
can-
Homecoming.
I can like both.
I no, but you said that like on a ranking,
Yeah,
you
no,
would put
I would
Spider-Verse
Into the
above Homecoming.
Spider-Verse, yes. I think it was just so much fun. Like, I had so much joy watching it. It was just pure joy, so much fun. I really loved the alternate versions that they either made fun of
Mm-hmm.
that we've seen of Spider-Man. It like didn't take itself seriously, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it did, but it didn't. It knew what we'd already seen before and what we were tired of. Even made fun of the Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, the third one, and was just like, I don't know what that was. And it was just refreshing to see it in a different light. You know, the fact that we had a kid who has different background than, you know, like the pasty white kid that we've seen all the time as Peter Parker. And even seeing like different versions from different universes of Spider-Man or Gwen.
Spider-Ham.
Yeah, like it was just fun. And to see, like, when you told me like there's a, you know, John Mulaney's a pig in this movie, I'm like, well, I love John Mulaney so much, but I do not want to go see a cartoon pig, Tristan.
Right.
I don't, but it worked.
It worked.
It worked so well, and it was fantastic. And it was just, it was eye candy too. It was just something I never seen before.
So much stimulation.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like,
My
too
head
much.
almost exploded with eye candy. It's crazy.
Yes.
How much color.
Yeah. You have to like calm down a little bit after you watch
You do.
it.
You have to watch like something in black and white when you get home. Like you put on like It's a Wonderful Life just to calm your eyes.
Yeah. What did you like about Into the Spider-Verse?
Basically everything that you just said. Like you stole my word. Joyous. Like while I was watching it, I was just like, this movie is just filled with so much joy. I was grinning ear to ear.
Mm-hmm.
Like the moment we saw Miles Morales.
Yeah.
And he started singing.
They had me at that moment.
Was it Sunflower?
Yeah.
Like he started.
Yeah.
He started singing Sunflower, the song, but he didn't know all the words.
Yeah.
I was just like, this guy's great.
Yeah. You're just immediately like, okay.
I care about you.
Yes.
I'm going to protect you.
Yeah. And again, it was like the idea of it being a different origin story. You know, we get the whole spider bite thing, but it's not what we've seen before.
It's not in the lab.
Exactly. And it was just so neat to see that happen. And like we knew we're familiar, but we also are surprised by all the things that they are throwing at us.
We got to have multiple versions of Peter Parker.
Yes.
And that in itself was interesting.
Yeah, like the one who kind of let himself go with him a lot of the way. And yeah, it's just...
Which was confirmed to be our Peter Parker.
Right.
Which
right.
I think is really interesting and really
It is
hilarious.
It's kind of hilarious that's our Peter Parker.
Our Peter Parker in our universe is
Yeah.
the one who
A little
divorced
chunky.
MJ
Yeah.
and got chunky. and just kind of got depressed.
Exactly. It's hilarious. Yeah. No, I loved it. I think it made me really like Spider-Man again. Like, I think I like Tom Holland in Spider-Man Homecoming, but I really fell in love with Spider-Man as a character in Into the Spider-Verse.
I feel like Sony finally did something right when in regards to this kind of universe where they made Venom, which was horrible but made a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And so they, like, obviously they touched into something, so they're like, we're going to make another one. And they did need Spider-Man for that, even though I feel like they did. They made they gave Spider-Man, the Spider-Man, to the MCU, and we're like, okay, well, let's make an animated Miles Morales, but Peter Parker can pass the torch off to him.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's make Miles Morales, and Into the Spider-Verse did so well, they're now thinking about making a Spider-Gwen
I would love
Spider-Verse
that.
movie, which would be amazing.
Absolutely.
And in the live-action realm, they're going after Morbius, which is a vampire in the Spider universe, which can clearly exist outside of Spider-Man.
Interesting.
And it's going to be played by Jared Leto.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, Jared Leto as a vampire? Yes, please.
Side note, we watched a Gucci ad.
Yes.
For Jared Leto and Lana Del Rey were in a Gucci ad together. If you have not seen this, you need to look it up.
You need to look it up.
Because
it's perfect.
Tristan sent it to me, and I was like, wait, am I dreaming?
Is this real life?
Is this a fantasy I've had, and you're just showing it to me? And we were, like, laughing so hard at each other because we were like, yeah, this is just hot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I had that dream. I'm pretty sure those filmmakers tapped into my dreams.
Exactly.
And
is it a shared dream that we have?
We dream in Gucci ads.
Apparently we do.
And that's okay. That's okay, because there's something for everyone.
That's right. And
sides of ourselves that we rather like to keep hidden. But that's not what
sharing
this podcast
too much?
is about.
Okay, never mind.
What the hell were we talking about?
Jared Leto as a vampire.
Yes, as a vampire, and Morbius, and so Morbius is, and so like that, like, see, Venom, I don't feel like can exist without Spider-Man.
No, he can't.
But Morbius can.
Okay,
and
I don't know anything about that character.
It's an interesting storyline. But the thing is, though, that somebody hunts Morbius, and that's Blade. The idea of getting a modern Blade interpretation would be fantastic. I feel like what's going to happen is that at the end of Morbius, we're going to get like a post-credit stinger, and we're going to see the next actor who's going to play Blade.
That'd be cool. That'd be very
so
cool.
that I'm excited about.
Okay.
And I think if Sony it just goes in those directions, like animated Spider-Man stuff with Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy and Gwen Spider-Gwen,
yeah.
Let's do it. Live action with stuff outside of the Spider-Verse, do it. And then you can have Tom Holland in the MCU.
I'm totally fine with that.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you wanted to do a quick ranking, now don't put in Civil War, don't put in Infinity War.
No. Yeah.
If you had to do a quick ranking of Spider-Man films, what would you do?
Okay. Should I go from the bottom top or top
bottom?
Top to bottom. Okay. Into the Spider-Verse is my number 1. Number 2 would be Spider-Man Homecoming. I feel like people know immediately those two. And then I would say Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, the first one. And then The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one with Andrew Garfield. Mm-hmm. And then I would probably say Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire with the Doc Ock. And And then I would say The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And then it would be Spider-Man 3 with the horrible dancing.
I think for me right now, because I need to see Into the Spider-Verse again.
Okay.
Before I can confirm that it's my favorite.
It is, so.
I'm talking about for me.
No, I'm telling you it is, though.
How dare you? I said my favorite, not the best. Yeah, I'd say, so like for me, it'd be Homecoming.
Okay.
Spider-Verse.
Okay.
Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
Spider-Man.
Okay.
Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 3.
Okay.
But honestly, like Spider-Man 2, and Amazing Spider-Man 2 are equal in my mind because
Okay.
they're both so like Spider-Man 2 was forgettable, but I didn't think it was trash. Spider-Man 2 I thought was horrible.
Yeah.
Actually, no, here's the thing though. It was Spider-Man 2. I can't say I thought it was horrible, even though I did. I gave it 3 stars.
Really?
I should have given it 2.5, but I gave it an extra 0.5 star for that train sequence towards the end,
yeah.
which was amazing.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
I really liked that train sequence, and that was enough to bump it up to 3 stars for me.
Okay.
But in actuality, it'd be like the first one's 3 stars, second one's 2.5, third one is 2.
Okay.
That's a lot of numbers. That just
That's a lot of numbers.
But that's kind of my list.
Yeah.
That's kind of my
Okay.
list.
I got
Tom
you.
Holland, easily my favorite's Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Out of everybody.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Awesome.
Well, there you
that
go.
was fun.
That was fun.
Fun fact. Ripley's. We've said this before. Ripley's favorite character is Spider-Man.
Superhero.
Superhero is
Her
is
favorite
Spider-Man.
superhero is very
Yes.
much, and we completely 100% forgot to give her Spider-Man lunchbox for her birthday.
Yes,
It's in the closet right now.
It is right now, so I'll have to give that to
It
her
says
tomorrow.
"Thwip" on it, which I think is just fantastic.
Yes, but she always gravitates towards anything Spider-Man.
I keep trying to introduce her to Batman. She's like,
Nope.
"No, old man.
Nope, that's for you.
Give me Spider-Man."
That's right.
And she loves masks, and so she kept walking around Target with a Black Panther mask on,
You
which
should
I
have
thought
bought it
was
for her.
freaking adorable. I
Yes.
almost did. I should have. But the thing is, she saw a Spider-Man mask, and she immediately ripped off the Black
She
Panther
was like,
mask.
"This is the one I want." Yeah, of course.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Tell us what you think of our discussion about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Are we crazy? Is Spider-Man 2 the best thing ever? Is it the Casablanca of superhero films? Like, let us know. Like, write to us. Like, find us on social media. Find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. You can find all those links at thenerdparty.com, or just search The Nerd Party by going to those social media outlets. But you can also email us by going to thenerdparty.com/contact, select Nerd Nuptial from the drop-down menu, fill out the form. It'll send us an email right to our doorstep. And also, if you like what we're doing, go to Apple Podcasts and write us a review. If you give us a 5-star review, we'll mention you on the show. But I had a great time. I feel like you had a great time.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about Spider-Man. So please let us know what you think.
I love you.
I know.
Scully,
Yes?
marry me.
I love you and I like you.
I love you and I like you.
I love that woman. I love her more than sharks love blood.
I love you.
You don't.